Hello, good morning, afternoon, evening. We are going to pick up where we left off with the Still Life project. I'm going to teach you how to create a calendar, but we will begin creating the cup that you can place your objects into, your pencils and pens and things of that nature. First thing that we need to do is set our project. So, File. Always the first thing that we need to do when we open Maya. Set project. Again, the reason why we do this is so that when we're looking for our images, when we open our scene, our images will pop up. Let me just open. This is 926. Okay. Don't save, there's nothing to save. And this is our pencil. I'm going to place this object on its own layer and just rename this to pencil obj object. Click save and I'll turn that off. Alright, perfect. So next thing I want to do is go online and look for a cup to put this object in. You guys can use a vase, anything of that nature. And since I like to drink coffee, I'll use a coffee mug. Okay. Now, let's see here. Which one do I like? Of course I like Mickey Mouse. But we just do something a little generic. So let's just use that one. Okay, so now I'll right mouse click, save image as, and I'm going to save this in my source images. So you can see it goes right into my still life source images folder when I set my project first. So I'll call this cup, save, and there we go. I'll go to my front view, click on view, image plane, import image, and there's my cup. Now we were using the 1 linear EP curve, but in this particular example we're going to use the 3 cubic. So I want to try to center this in my scene. Alright, perfect. Now let's go to curve tool, EP curve tool option box, and I can click 3 cubic, or I can just simply reset the tool. Alright, now I want to begin at the base, and I'll tell you why. Because anytime we go counterclockwise, we won't have to worry about reversing our geometry. The normals will actually be gray versus being black. So I'm holding shift, and now I'm just letting go of shift to create the nice rounded edge. And as you can see, I'm creating the inside of the cup as well. If I don't create the inside of the cup, then you're going to notice that the inside of the cup will actually be black, which we don't want. And I'll put the last one right about here. Press return, and I'm going to put this cup on its own layer, rename it cup BG, save that, hide, and let's select a few vertices. Select that vertex. So right mouse click and hold, control vertex, highlight the vertex, hold X, hold left mouse click, and drag it to the grid. Perfect. So I'm just going to look at this EP curve, and so as I select this one, you can see that this line turns white. It means that it's controlling that. And there we go. Now sometimes if you put your EP curves too close together, they might overlap. Alright. I want the edge of this curve to touch the ground, so I will select that one, and I'll do this. And then later on, with the geometry, we'll make it completely flat to the ground. Or we could simply kind of move that up, and then move this up as well. Okay, so it doesn't have to look exactly like mine, the shape of it, but just the most important part about this is that we get the inside and the outside of the curve perfect. Now go up. Okay. Now you can see that the curve looks really awkward right here, and what it tells me is that this point belongs underneath that one, so I'm just going to move it down, and now this point is exactly what I want. Okay, that's the middle. Actually, let's see. Okay, this belongs here. See, sometimes it can become a little bit confusing, but I trust that you guys will make a nice shape in the beginning, and you don't have to worry about any of that. Okay, perfect. So I'm happy with this. Maybe I might make it a little bit thicker. Hold Shift and select multiple edges. Let's do that. There we go. And I'll make the bottom part a little bit thicker. Hold Shift. And let's do this. Okay. Right mouse click object mode. And my manipulator tool is aligned with that grid. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the Revolve, Surfaces, Revolve option box. Let me reset the settings. And it's always good for you guys to reset it because somebody might have changed the axes, and so always get in the good habit of doing that. So axis Y, polygon, quad, general. Scroll down here. The U type will be per span number of isoparms, same thing with the V type. And in this case, we're going to change this to a value of 2 and click apply. And there we go. Okay, so let's close this out. Let's go into our perspective. And we got a nice little mug here. Now again, if we press 3, you can see that it smooths out. And last but not least, we need to create the handle. Alright, so let's go back into our front view and turn the background cut back on. I'll press 1 so that it goes back into the smooth shaded. And I would really like for this these faces to connect with this geometry. So what I'm going to do is right mouse click and hold, go to edge, and I'll double click on this edge and move it up so that it aligns with that. Now if you don't have the sort of like edges here, you can simply go to Mesh Tools, insert Edge Loop option box, change your maintain position to relative distance from edge, or simply click on the reset, and you can add an edge loop. Left mouse click and hold on the vertical edge, and there you go. So you could put one right here and right there. Okay. So for me, I'm just going to press undo because I have edges that I can move. So I'm just going to double click on this one and then try to align it. Double click here, move it up like that. Double click on this one, move it down. Double click and move it there. Okay. So now I'm simply going to highlight that, hold shift, highlight that, and I'll go into my perspective. I'm going to turn off my background. Okay, awesome. So what we need to do is curve this. All right, might be a little bit of a challenge, but I'm going to press Control E, and when I press Control E, I'm going to change the offset. There we go. And it's too wide, so I'll click on the red square and bring it in like that. Actually, let's make it like that. Okay, now I'll press G, which is repeat previous command. I'll change the offset again, and now this time I'll make it a little bit thinner. Okay, not do that. Okay, so we have that shape, and you can see how it's kind of pressed in. So I'll press the W and I'll move it out like that. Okay. Next thing I want to do is go to vertex mode and select that vertex. Hold shift, select that vertex. Hold shift, select that vertex, that one. And I'm going to press R. And what I'm going to do is scale, oops, I apologize. Let me just select these two at a time. I'll scale these guys up. You see? And I'll select that one, hold shift, and move them up. So I'm trying to form a little bit of a round shape. I'll hold shift and select these two. I'll hold shift and select that one, that one, that one, and we will scale it down a little bit. Okay. Now this is going to be the width of our handle, which I think is a pretty good width. It might be a little bit too thin. So what I'm going to do is go back into my side view and turn my background image back on. And let's see here. Let me zoom in pretty close. Alright, so what I'm going to do is try to take this entire row, press W, hold shift, and select this entire row. And I'm just going to move it down a little bit, like that. I'll hold shift. I'll let go of shift. Select that row, hold shift, select that row, and then move these guys up. There we go. Turn off my image. So you guys can see I just made that shape a little wider. Okay, so I'll select these four. And we're going to use a tool called the bridge tool. So under mesh display, edit mesh, it says bridge, and we go to bridge option box. We're going to click on smooth path plus curve, and let's make it 5 divisions. Actually, let's go 7 and click apply. Now it looks awkward, so it's kind of not what we were looking for. Let's see. Let's try linear path. No, it's not doing exactly what we want. So let me close this. I'll press W on so I can have those faces. I'll press Control E, and then I'll press W and move them out like this. Now I'll go back to my front view. I'll turn on my image, and I'm going to select face. I'll highlight this entire face. I'll press Control to deselect that, and I'm just going to manually, change this. So let's do that. I'll press Control E, W, and I'll press E to rotate it, and I'll press G and then W, and I'll press E and I'll rotate it. If I press R, I can scale it flat, W, and I'll move it up. Now I'll select this, I'll go to face, right mouse click and hold face. I'll highlight this entire section, and I'll press and hold Control to deselect that section. So now I just have these faces selected. Okay. Now let's move it back a little bit. I think I'll move it up. Back. Control E. Up. Go W. Move it here. Move it down. Press E to rotate. Now press W. I'll press G, which is repeat previous command. And move it here. Press E to rotate. And I'll press R, which is a scale button. I'll scale it flat. I'll press W, and I will move it here. Okay, perfect. So now, what I'd like to do, turn off this image. Alright, so I have these faces selected, and I'll hold Shift to select those faces. And now what we can do is simply go to the Edit Mesh, Bridge, Option box, and I'm just going to go to Edit, Reset Settings, and Bridge. There we go. Okay, now we'll right mouse click and hold Object, and now when we click on this and press 3, it's nice and smooth. Okay, so now we have something to put our pens and pencils in. Now, if you wanted to create something that was a little easier, not so time consuming, I'm simply going to click on that mug, put it on its own layer, rename it, and I'll call this coffee mug. Save that, turn the visibility off. I don't need the curve anymore. You can see that my object turns like this pink color. Try not to move your curve, otherwise you get something like that. Okay. Alright, so I just delete the curve, hide that image. I'm just going to create a simple cup. You guys can create a vase if you want to put your objects in. Again, the concept is still the same. We want to use, we want to create the inside of our object and then the outside of our shape. Okay? But remember, we don't want to go clockwise. Okay? We want to go counterclockwise. That's going to save us a lot of time. Okay? So let's go back to the Create EP Curve Tool option box, and I'll make this one linear. Alright, so first I'll hold X to snap it to the grid, hold Shift, and I'll hold Shift again. Alright, let's do that. Go up. And then let's go up. I'll create like this little lid, like a lip. And I'll go straight down. Actually, let's go down, left, and then let's do this. Hold Shift. I'm holding Shift the entire time, and I'll press Return on the keyboard. Right mouse click and hold Control Vertex. Select that vertex, hold X, and snap it. Right mouse click and hold Object Mode. Select this Geometry, Surfaces, Revolve, and there we go. Now this looks really weird, I don't know, but this is a cup that you could use. Again, you could press 3 to smooth it out. If I want it to be a little bit taller, I click on the curve itself, right mouse click and hold, Control vertex. I'll highlight the vertex and then move it up. And there you go. Now I can even move like those vertex points to do that. Right mouse click and hold, and click on that geometry. I'll rename it to cup 2. Actually, I'll call it plastic cup. And I'm going to put that on the coffee mug layer. All right, it's like inside there. I'll move this to the left. Press R to scale it down. And I will right mouse click and hold on coffee mug layer and click on the add selected objects. So now I can turn them both off. Now I'm just going to rename this layer to cups, plural. Save. I'll delete that curve, and there you guys go. So 2 different types of cups, and I hope you enjoy this tutorial.